This place is a nightmare.
That's another department. Now that department I'll help you burn down.
Today we're going to be doing an unboxing/review looking at the complete first season of the Marvel Studios series Loki. This contains all 6 episodes of the first season, which aired back in 2021, and this is the first of currently 4 Steelbook edition releases from Disney+, where they turned around and initially said that all their content would remain exclusive. I am glad they have reevaluated the situation, reapproached it, and they've actually tested out some of their more popular shows by releasing them onto physical media, and I'm hopeful, despite these sets being super expensive, that the sales will reflect that hopefully more Steelbook releases, or just standard Blu-rays at the very least, should come out in the near future. And so this release is definitely one of my personal favourites in terms of the overall presentation. The artwork is incredible. Attila Saka has really outdone themselves with the artwork that they have produced for the current 4 Steelbook edition releases. Here's a look at the front cover design with Tom Hiddleston there playing, of course, Loki prominently featured. Here's a brief look at the inside as to what to expect inside artwork wise and for the art cards. And then flipping this over, we have a list of all 6 episodes that are included, the bonus features, the specifications for the sets of discs if you're interested in that sort of thing. And this is a region-free set. The total runtime is 245 minutes and is rated a 12 here in the UK for moderate fantasy violence, threat, and bloody images. So let's unbox the Blu-ray set and take a look at the contents. Here's a proper look at the Steelbook set with the packaging removed. Overall, I love the purple aesthetics and the very trippy design choices involved with the front cover artwork. Some excellent stuff capturing some of the more integral moments from the series. And flipping this over to the back, we have one of my favourite standout characters, Miss Minutes. And there's a proper look at the entirety of the exterior artwork. And the little number 1 there on the spine, obviously denoting that this is the first season out of the 2. Taking a look at the inside contents, we have, of course, the art cards, which are a fun kind of gimmicky inclusion for what it's worth. So we have the alligator Loki variant featured in episodes 4 and 5. A really fun inclusion. When's this guy getting his Disney Plus spin-off is what I want to know. There's an exterior shot of the Superstore featured in episodes 2 and 3. And then this very eerie shot of the skyline with Loki's silhouette, some beautiful looking stuff overall. Here are the discs. We have the 4K discs there featuring episodes 1 through to 3 and 4 through to 6. And then likewise with the standard Blu-rays there featuring again episodes 1 through to 3 and 4 through to 6. With the discs removed, here's a look at the inside artwork, which appears to just be a snapshot taken from the show. Nothing too special with that, but is still appreciated. Special feature-wise, there is genuinely some really great content included with this set, and unlike the Mandalorian releases, Disney were kind enough to include the full behind-the-scenes documentary. And looking at the making of the series, I really enjoyed this. It was great to gain a further perspective on the show overall, and I was surprised at just how many practical sets were used rather than just relying on the volume stage technology. And you can also catch this on Disney Plus if you haven't already watched it. If you enjoyed the show, it is definitely worth your time. And speaking of the practical sets, we have an exclusive feature designing the TVA, which explores the practical sets themselves, a gag reel which was fun, and some deleted scenes, which was kind of unexpected in all honesty, since these streaming shows are never really restricted on time per episode. Most of these ran for 45 to 50 minutes with maybe 1 or 2 dipping beneath that, and I'm guessing these scenes were removed just for improved pacing, or they were just seen as unnecessary perhaps. Either way, it's a bonus incentive for grabbing the Blu-ray. Sharing my overall thoughts on the series, for a short run of only 6 episodes, there is a lot of content to appreciate, and I respect the writing and the directing and how there was a clear creative vision set across this first run of episodes. Ironically, I've never actually been a massive fan of the Loki character, if I'm being honest. I just found him to be extremely pretentious as a villain, and to an extent that feels like the whole point of his character. He craves power, he wants to strike fear into others, but all of this stems from his own personal insecurities, being the lesser brother, being adopted, etc. And what's great about this show is how it utilizes that kind of weakness and it adds so much more dimension to the character. And there's no real way in my eyes to have this level of development over the course of the movies, and so stretching his screen time across a series was definitely a lot better in terms of making him more likable and having the character conquer his own insecurities. Despite my initial thoughts on the character, I know he is beloved as a fan favourite, and Tom Hiddleston clearly has a lot of fun playing the role of this trickster, and having played the part for over 10 years at this point, this was arguably one of the most ambitious projects of the MCU's fourth phase. And story-wise, I really like the chosen direction the creators decided on. Loki is removed from the sacred timeline in 2012, he's picked up by a bureaucratic force of time police known as the Time Variance Authorities, he stands trial for crimes against time simply for going off track, and rather than being reset, he's instead recruited to help the time police track a rogue variant of himself. And this turns out to be a female Loki named Sylvie, who is deliberately targeting the TVA in order to gain an audience with the Timekeepers. These three omnipotent beings apparently control all of time. Apparently? Yeah, we'll come back to that bit momentarily, but there is a lot of engaging moments with this storyline to appreciate. One thing that I did not expect to see, however, was Loki hitting on himself. How vain can you be? He really does actually try to get it on with Sylvie. That was very unexpected. I really enjoyed the setup for this story, and the first episode was one of my personal favourites. Whilst in custody following the battle over New York, Loki touches the Tesseract, which teleports him far away into the middle of nowhere, and this could have been worse. At least he didn't end up like Red Skull with no action at all, or so we think. Owen Wilson plays an integral role, being Agent Mobius, who's an investigator for the TVA, essentially Loki's handler when out in the field, and I found their attempt at a buddy cop kind of relationship amusing, especially because Loki is not to be trusted. He's doubted at first by everybody, but I like how Mobius really tries to establish some kind of friendship with Loki. Miss Minutes was a standout character voiced impeccably by Tara Strong, and you get the ominous feeling there's something not quite right about this Southern Belle, and you would be right to feel that way. Being a mascot, there's a lot of creativity behind her usage in the propaganda for the Time Variance Authority, and as a huge fan of animation, this Hanna-Barbera-inspired infomercial is one of the most memorable moments. It adds the shady exposition needed for the show's premise, which captures you with an entertaining charm at its core. Episode 2 was an excellent hook for the rest of the series, where suspicions begin to rise about how the TVA isn't quite what it seems. And Sylvie is revealed to be the main villain, but with a purpose: to seek revenge on the TVA, and this stems from her being removed from her own timeline as a child, but she did luckily manage to escape before standing trial for her so-called crimes, and has been on the run ever since. And I like how she's so distrusting of everybody, especially the secondary antagonist, Judge Renslayer. I believe there's more to her character in the second season, but I enjoyed how her position in the TVA felt so clouded overall. With Sylvie's interference, other officers within the TVA start to question themselves and their purpose, and this takes us to episode 3, which was honestly the weakest part of the overall story in my opinion. Once Sylvie is revealed to be the main villain, Loki chases after her, where it's shown how she uses time travel to hide from the TVA, and to remain hidden, she would go to disastrous historical events, apocalyptic level threats, and with high death counts, knowing she couldn't accidentally change the course of time, she wouldn't be able to attract the TVA. And I did like seeing her interact with Loki throughout this episode and eventually open up to him about her troubled past. Her master plan is to confront the Timekeepers and find out why she was removed from her time in the first place, which unfortunately is not possible. Knowing how corrupt the TVA really is, the Timekeepers are revealed to be a work of fiction, which was an excellent twist. And at this point you really do start rooting for the antagonist, who isn't really the villain after all. And there's a lot of fun creativity with episodes 4 and 5. Loki and Sylvie become much closer. Mobius questions his allegiance to the TVA, the one consistent thing in his life. And after several disruptions with alternative Loki variants, our characters find themselves trapped at the very end of time. And here, Loki and Sylvie are destined to face He Who Remains, Who exactly? I genuinely had no idea when watching this episode for the first time. For what it's worth, I did find the finale episode to be a little bit overly dramatic, where I expected something a lot more conclusive, but luckily the series does have a second run of episodes. At least the story does have a continued direction. And this is where in the end we see Loki and Sylvie up against a variant of Kang the Conqueror, making his debut played by Jonathan Majors. He knows all and sees all, and he's responsible for keeping the sacred timeline in check. Without him, variants of himself would breach the known world, leading to a multiversal war. And believing it to be a trick, Sylvie still seeks revenge for her past, and she murders the Kang variant. And leading to complete and utter chaos, the cliffhanger ending has me very excited to watch the second season. Time appears to have now been rewritten, the TVA appears to view Kang as a timekeeper, and now people don't know who Loki is, as he tries to warn about what happened at the end of time. Overall, I was impressed with how well structured and enjoyable this first season was. It's very well written, questioning the morals of our existence, whether or not free will exists, or is this just a concept that we all strive for? And there's some incredible character moments for Loki specifically reflecting those, but I found all the new characters for the most part to be very likeable. I look forward to seeing how things do conclude for this variant of Loki, and hopefully a Season 2 Steelbook release shouldn't be too far away. If I do hear anything about that or the next wave of Disney Plus Blu-ray Steelbooks, I'll be sure to cover that in a future video, so stay tuned for that on the channel. And that's going to do it for this unboxing slash review. I hope you did enjoy. If you did, be sure to leave me a like down below. Let me know in the comments what is your favourite Marvel Disney Plus show thus far. As always, I love hearing your thoughts and opinions. And for more content, be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel, DVD Review Studios.
Are you threatening me?